That's right. I'm a very cautious, very suspicious person, but I managed to get scammed. All I can say is that scammers nowadays are using some methods which are very, very sophisticated in such a way that you don't smell a rat, as they say. You think the person is who they say they are. In my instance, I can't say too many details because it's still being investigated, but basically, the person knew my name, my phone number, and the bank I uh, predominantly bank with. Now, because of this, and when they called, they said that there was a suspicious activity on my account and they were investigating it. They even set up a appointment for about another 4 or 5 days away at my local branch, gave me the address, and I had no reason to doubt this person. It wasn't until I hung up and a text came through from my bank advising that Google Play was being added to my debit card. And if this hadn't been me to call the bank, so I called the bank and they told me I had been scammed. They froze the account, and therein lies my predicament, because the bank fraud office are investigating. The account is frozen for 20 days. That means my funds I haven't been able to access. So there's a little word of warning. Have another account with a little bit of extra cash to keep you going for a couple of weeks. Thankfully I did, so I didn't pursue it, but maybe you can you know, negotiate somehow with the bank, some sort of loan. I'm not sure. What didn't apply to me, but I'm sure they wouldn't leave you in a lurch. But yes, I think these days, particularly perhaps with AI, um, scammers are using it to, um, shall we say, tailor their needs. So my predicament at the moment, yes, is that my van building is some of the larger items I haven't been able to go ahead and buy. I haven't been able to move forward in some parts, but there's lots to do, so I haven't um, completely come to a standstill. But yes, another thing would be to advise you perhaps, which is what I'm going to do, is have code words for different members of my family and friends, so that if I get a call or text from them saying they need access to my account or whatever, I can make sure it's them, because honestly, it's just getting so hard to tell when you're being scammed. So part of this whole problem meant that because I didn't know how they obtained those details, and I still don't, um, I was advised to get my phone checked for viruses and some sort of, you know, problem with that, which I had to do. And of course, that involved also trying to save all my photos. So I had a laptop and the phone that I had to do both of this, uninstalling programs, running virus checkers, and still nothing came up. So it's a real mystery. But I mean, the bank advised that it was just a coincidence, but I, I can't see how they could get that information coincidentally. Yeah, sorry, the whole van's rocking. That's what made me distracted looking out, because it's blowing a gale. Um, you'll see I've got a new little temperature, and I can see that the man and the lady are fighting for position. Isn't that always the way? Um, he comes out one day or half the day, she comes out the second part. They never meet, but they sort of have a little discussion, I think, at the door. But yes, he's retreating. He's been out all morning, so hopefully she'll come out. I found that at an opportunity shop, and I was carrying around. I only paid $3 for it, which was it's been something I've been coveting for many many years, as I as the family had one when I was young and always loved them. It doesn't have a cuckoo, but I'm quite happy with the arrangement. Or it's got a barometer on it. I think it's a thermometer, I should say. And yes, it looks like it might be fine, but that wind's a bit rough. It's chilly as. So what I had to do was borrow some money because the other little account was a little account, and I needed petrol. The day I had to rush into town to get the thing sorted out with the bank, and that took a great deal of time. And even while I was talking to the lady in the bank, the hacker was still trying to get into my account. They could see it coming up on the screen. So they couldn't do anything really until that stopped. And so I borrowed some money, some cash off my family. And of course, because I'd rushed in, panicking, stressed, I realised I needed petrol. But of course, um, where I always get petrol, you can only use a card. So you can't poke cash in there, it won't accept it. And funnily enough, when I was at the service station, I knew I had a certain amount of money in the other account, in the other bank account, and I thought, oh, I'll just get $50 worth. That'll just tide me over. And I was approached by this eccentric-looking old guy who said to me, he said, oh, could I put my petrol on your company card? And I said, look, I'm retired. I've got no company cards. And he said, oh, well, he said, I'll just have to wait a while. He said, it doesn't usually take too long. And I thought, here's a great little arrangement he's got. But he did explain that he doesn't use, he's a real conspiracy theorist. He doesn't believe in cards, internet, anything like that. He just deals in cash. But of course, he couldn't put cash into the machine. He had to rely on the generosity of somebody doing a trade-off or just helping him out. So it was a weird day. That man, he gave me a book about all sorts of conspiracies. It was free. When I read the inside of it, it was right. It was freely given, a bit like the Bible. Money shouldn't change hands for a Bible. It should any information that's important to you should be free. So, but yes, a very strange day. So what happened was, getting back to my story, that I was so busy talking to him that I looked at the thing which flies around now with the petrol prices they are, and I realised I'd gone up to $67. I quickly pulled the trigger on the petrol dispenser and stopped that one. So luckily I had enough for that. So yes, I put that back in its slot and drove off. But at that stage, I tell you what, these kind of events, they really do knock the wind out of your sails, because they undermine your confidence, because you think you've got a handle on certain things in life, and then you realise that actually no, you don't. And so I've learned quite a few lessons, like I said, about putting safety into place, having another account, making sure that if I'm in this sort of position again, I won't be left high and dry. But the other thing, the banks told me that you don't get calls when people from overseas are trying to access your account. That had happened in the past, and I did get a phone call, but they said nowadays it's text. But I'm thinking, what if your phone's not on you or stolen? Does that mean that there's another opening for a scam? It's getting to the point now where they are so problematic, these scammers, that the bank was saying that they get calls all day, every day. And, and that's just my little local branch. So, and it's even happened to the employees. So that kind of made me feel a little better, a little, but it does undermine your confidence a great deal. So anyway, that's probably enough of my chitter chatter. Let's go out to the van and I'll show you what I've been doing out there. That'll be a bit more interesting and a little bit more positive, shall we say. The table's working. However, those clips, if I just tip it slightly, because I really do only need the one leg, because of access, you know, getting in and out. If I had two legs, which would stabilise it, would make it more awkward. However, I think it's because these don't wrap round far enough. If I could only find something that would work, that would be great. I'm looking at tool holders where you would put them on a wall in a workshop and push the hammer or the saw, whatever, into the slot and it would hold it and grip it. So I've got some on order, but hopefully they'll be big enough, because that's quite a large pipe that's used on there, or tube. Anyway, that does slope. However, once I get the floor tiles on, that will be level. I've thrown a blanket over that just to give it some colour and make it more homely looking, so that I can get a feel for it. And so far it's looking good, except as you can see from that space, that's pretty much half of the van taken up with just the seats and the table. So there's a heck of a lot of wasted space. So I'm trying to work around that, because I do want to keep this. It would also make a great little bed, emergency bed, but I'll see. We'll see. And here we are in the down position, and it works a treat. There's just that little pole, no fittings on the floor to stub my toe on. And now I'll fold down the seat so we can see the rest. Stage one is pulling this lever and tilting it forward, and then going underneath and lifting, pulling those two levers and lifting it into the return position. Now once it's rolled forward, I've just got to push these down, and therefore it opens up this area here for use again. But understandably, nothing can be fixed, so it would have to be moved in order to allow for that seat to come up. And as you can see, the table just hangs there nicely, and the little pole could be left there or laying on its side at the back of the seats. Now, in order for that seat to come back into position to be used, the bed has to be propped up into this position. And so I've left it to be able to do that. That's how I've attached it. There's a slot in the bed frame where that piece of wood goes up into, and I've bolted it. You might be able to see that bolt that's gone through. It's a bit too long, but it was what I had, so I've utilised that. At least it's sticking through under the bed where I'm not likely to kick my foot on it. So yeah, they could be unscrewed if the floorboard needs to be lifted. I've attached a saddle clamp there to hold it into position, and then these legs come down here. I've got them hooked at the moment, but those legs would swing down, or the leg, when I drop it down into the bed position. I'll show you from the back and see if we can see a bit better. And there we are with the leg down in the back position, and attached with another saddle clamp there. Now I've just utilised bits of wood that were there in the build. I'll paint those to make them look nice. I'm still debating whether to put a piece along there joining those two, just in case things fall down the side of the bed, which invariably they will. But I wanted to leave that open because under there is a little bit of storage area. I've covered the wheel arch in that carpet. Don't look too close because I used offcuts to do it, so it's not going to be seen. It was just to make it a bit warmer, quieter, and bits of wood that I've got stored there still. I've painted those panels, the ply panels on both sides, and put a nice beading around it just to give it a nicer edge. Now the carpet up here, I've got to buy trim. I've got it ordered, trim that'll go around there because there was nothing for it to really tuck into. So there is a gap here where my finger is, which I can put some rubber beading around there and it'll just finish off the windows nicely. I'll leave these bars on here because they're great for using to get in and out of the rear and the side doors. I'm still debating whether to paint those panels or wallpaper them. That's the wallpaper I've got that I'd like to use, and I've done the panel on that side as well. So other than just finishing off this kitchen unit, which I've got to attach to the wall, lift it up and attach it to the wall just so that it doesn't come up higher than the windows, and it's got a metal, I think it's only zinc though, so it's not magnetic, and I'm cover on it. It's for a potting table for gardening. It had two shelves, but I had to cut the bottom one off, but I'll utilise that somewhere else. I may hinge a extra piece of wood there to lift it out so that if I'm out here cooking outside, I can swing that up and use it, or possibly in the lower position it might be a better height. So yes, the bed was the worst of my build. So I've just released that now into the down position. I had to leave a gap along this wall here just so that, because the wall curves in where the seat belt is, I needed to be able to clear that. So of course it has meant the bed's extended over a bit further, but that's okay. Even that little shelf, it's got to go back over the wheel arch. It's actually against the wheel arch, so I've still got some room there if I attach it to the wall and lift it off the floor. Well, not a lot to see in the van. It is surprising actually how long everything takes. I was very, very naive thinking that, oh yeah, no build. And there's been a lot of building, and I sit and stare probably for 2 hours and get 10 minutes work done. That's probably on how it works out, because trying to work out how I could raise the bed up, for example, how it could fit. It really is too big to be in that van, but it was the easiest way for me to have a no-build bed in there. And working around the wheel arch is the biggest issues, both sides. Now I've got to try and fit that cabinet on the other side, and everything is just a little too narrow for the wheel arch. Even though they're quite low wheel arches, they're not particularly high, they really are a problem. And it's trying to figure out a way to do it, and then you think, oh yeah, I need a particular type of fitting, but then when you go to the shops, trying to walk up and down the aisles of the big stores like Bunnings, which is trade stores here in New Zealand and Australia, and trying to find something that's the right size. Now, those two little clamps that hook over for the table, I had a dickens of a job. I got that at an electrical shop. Yes, I was very naive to think my timing. I think I've always been a bit that way, is I'm not very good at estimating how long something will take. It's like when you go shopping, you think, oh, just pop into town and do whatever shopping you need to do. And again, it's like running out of screws. You go into town and you think, while I'm there, I'll do this and I'll do something else and do another couple of errands. And then before you know it, the day's gone and you're just getting home and you've lost another day. And so this has been happening. And plus the scam really knocked me back because of all the fiddling around with the phone and the laptop, trying to sort those out. But I'm getting there. And although there's chaos all around me, the actual build, I'm enjoying it. I'm loving doing it, thinking about it, and getting more confidence using the tools, which I haven't really used. I've had them for years, but I've not really used them. So I'm getting there. Anyway, I do apologise for not having a video up sooner, but a lot of the videos I've done, I've had to store on an external hard drive, and because I did it in such a haste, I've got to try and find them now. Find them because they're all in a big bulk lot, and I will in the future uh, get all the videos I've done of the van build and put it all together as a compilation. But in the meantime, I will carry on doing videos like this where I'm just vlogging as usual and keeping you up to date. But if you're still here, I really do appreciate you, and a big shout out to Texas Girl, because thanks to your just wonderful generosity, I was able to put that money towards that potting table, which will serve as my kitchen. So thank you, Texas Girl. And all you others who support me in all the ways that you do, I do thank you. I really do appreciate you. So thank you for being with me. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful the rest of the week. You are taking care of yourselves, and watch out for those scammers. For goodness sake, don't trust anybody. Yes, until next time, I'll say bye for now.